So I just finished the last piece that goes into this, and there's a lot of extra pieces I noticed. I think I over-ordered a few of them because, I wanted to make sure that if I lose one, I could have a couple, but there seems to be a lot more than I thought there would be. So that's just kind of weird. Like really big ones. And I'm just sitting here going, what? What happened? Whatever the case, I'm going to complete it now and look at how it looks. Yeah. After waiting for about a week, the folks at Brick Vault finally responded to my email to tell me that I was indeed correct in my placement of the mixel joint, only to tell me that I was incorrect in the placement of a few other pieces. When I looked at the instructions, I once again confirmed that I was correct in my placement, and that they were pointing out problems in the wrong wing, which made me realize that for some reason these wings were asymmetrical, and this wasn't just a single goof in the instructions. This seemed to be deliberate, which made me very confused. Everything up to that point had been pretty symmetrical, so why on earth would this minor plate be asymmetrical? If anyone has a theory, you can let me know. Well, it's finished. I barely got those two bottom wings on. It was difficult, but I came up with a strategy. They're barely on there, trust me. There's like 3 connections out of 6, but they're there. I keep these books there because it's extremely delicate and I don't want it to fall apart and I don't want to restart. I'm just tired. But yeah, it's complete. In the meantime, I purchased a smaller mock right there. That one's actually complete. So yeah, I like how it came out, but man, those bottom wings are just extremely delicate right now. While waiting for a response, I decided to purchase a much smaller TIE Fighter model to give their web store a fair shake, and I managed to gain some insight while building this one. When it came to the wings of the TIE Mock, I had a lot of trouble trying to put them on, but after about 10 tries, I managed to get them on properly. I realized this was because I had to maneuver the wings in a very precise manner for them to attach properly. Needless to say, it was a tight but effective fit. I am overall very pleased with this model. From this information, I have come to my final theory, and that theory is that I would have to maneuver these giant wings with many more connections than the TIE Fighter in a very specific way that would probably require someone who has built the thing to completion to come down and literally guide my hands in the correct position. Building this Star Destroyer was more difficult than any other LEGO set I've built so far, because of the advanced techniques and the places I managed to put together correctly. But it seems this one is so advanced and precise that I simply cannot figure it out, unless I spent several full days trying every possible solution, which frankly, I'm not willing to do. I have tried and walked away from this project only to come back and try again probably a total of 15 times now. Keep in mind I'm spending almost an hour each time trying to put it on. I have given up, and at this point I am exhausted. If there is anyone else on the internet who has bought this mock and tried to put it together themselves, please contact me. And if you successfully did it, please tell me. How? After finally completing this thing, and barely fitting the wings on, I have to admit that this is an excellent model in every other section besides the bottom wings. The detail and use of bricks gives this perfect smooth metal plate look with plenty of variation to give the illusion of an enormous advanced piece of technology. This section here is probably my favorite example. They managed to cram in so much variation in such a small space. The detail is consistent throughout the entire model, all the way from the engines to the tip. Keep in mind, this thing is very, very large. It's longer than the Millennium Falcon, and it's surprisingly tall. There is no interior, the display stand is permanent, and you pretty much have to treat this as a display model, because that's what it is. The techniques used to build this thing are clever in many areas. And when I look back at it, surprisingly simple. If only it was slightly more simple in this area. I have noticed a trend in these two mocks, and that is tight fits. The connections you have to make are often difficult, by LEGO standards at least, but at the end of the day, once you get them in, they are sturdy. Mostly. I have learned a lot about LEGO building from these two, but I think there should have been just a little sacrifice of the aesthetics of the Star Destroyer mock to make sure these bottom wings fit in easier. And I have looked over these instructions many times. Believe me, and unless I am just being a complete dumbass and I'm missing something totally obvious, I think my final theory still stands. Oh, and before I forget, these instructions were okay, but they had a few problems that made them hard to understand. For one, there was a lot of strange perspectives they chose to show the pieces at. The problem is that with these perspectives, I can't really tell what's below the pieces on top, and without the part guide on the side, I would have had a lot more trouble. If they maybe showed more steps or chose a different angle, this might have been easier. The most dramatic example of this was when I had to put on either a 1 stud-sided 1x1 brick or a 2 stud-sided 1x1 brick. Take a look at this picture and tell me which one is which. That's right, you can't. Thankfully, I could guess correctly, but it made the process slower. Bricklink has a solution to this that I wish the people at BrickVault had implemented, but back to the main problem. I wish they had made these just slightly easier to put in, because frankly, I don't see the point in making a good-looking model if two enormous sections can't be put together without immense difficulty. And this is odd, since I have attached and detached these top 3 pieces many times, and it has gone smoothly pretty much every time. It wasn't super easy, but it was a hell of a lot easier than these. So can I recommend BrickVault? Listen, I really wanted to give these guys some good press. I like what they do, but man, this was not the most positive experience. I have to say I don't regret my purchases, but I wish they responded to my emails sooner, or at least told me they were going to take a while to respond. Just a simple, "we'll contact you in a few days" would have been nice. Also, I emailed them a final time, and gave them a very thorough email with many pictures that explained my predicament as best as I could. And considering that they haven't responded in 2 weeks, I have to assume they've also given up, or they've forgotten about me, or they just think I'm annoying. Which is fair. Either way, I don't think I'm going to get any more help with this, and I'm just going to end it here. I'll let it sit for a few months, and then deconstruct it and use the parts in something else. I think I'm going to give these folks a 6 out of 10, if that summarizes my thoughts well enough. They did their job mostly well, and if a smaller model that interests me pops up onto their web store again, I think I'll purchase those instructions. But for now, I think I'm going to stick with official LEGO sets for a little while. Anyway, so you guys wanted to see more of the Balto boy, so here he is. Say hi, Balto. Anyway, my name is Solar Sands, and goodbye.